So I'm going to go over today's activity, which is very similar to the activity that we had on Tuesday. But instead of skip counting by tens, forward and backward, we're going to be skip counting by hundreds, forwards and backwards. So it says to first turn over 2 numeral cards to make a 2-digit number. So this time we're making a 2-digit number. So I'm turning 2 numeral cards over, and I ended up with 17. So record the number on the first space on the number line, just like we did on Tuesday. I'm going to put 17 over here, all the way on the left because we're adding. And I'm going to add 100 to my starting number and record the sum. So 100 plus 17 is super simple. I know I could just put 100 in the hundreds place because there's nothing in the hundreds place right now. So 117. Now, if I were to add another 100, because it says continue adding 100 until you have 10 numbers in the sequence, then I would just underline my hundreds place, which is the third number from the right. So as you can see, I would underline that, and that would increase by 1. So instead of 117, it would be 217. Keep going. 217 would now become 317. So we're just increasing by 100 every single time. So I'm also going to draw my arrows just like we did on Tuesday, so that can help me remember I'm adding by 100 every time. So add 100 to the 300s we have, and we'd get 400, and 17 remains the same because we're not changing the tens or the ones place this time. Add another 100, and we would have 517. Again, the hundreds place is the only place that is changing. So add another 100 because we're not at the end of our sequence yet. Instead of 517, we would have 617 because the only place that's changing is the hundreds place. Then add 100 again to 617. We would have 717. Because the hundreds place is changing, the tens and the ones stays the same. Add 100 again, we would have 817. And the last time we add 100, we're going to have 917. And that is our ending number with the sequence. So it's actually a little bit easier. If you notice, we got through that a lot quicker, skip counting by hundreds. So you're starting with a 2-digit number, and then you're increasing by 100 each time you move along in the sequence. So we're going to go ahead and do the next part of the activity together, just so that you have an idea of how to do that. And what that's going to involve is recording a 3-digit number with a 9 in the hundreds place on the last space on your number line. So that would be here this time, because this time we are subtracting by 100, and we always put the largest number on the right hand side. So I know I need a 9 in my hundreds place because they told me that. I'm going to pull 2 cards to decide on the tens and ones place. So 938 it is. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, it says subtract 100 from your starting number and record the new number. So I would subtract 100 from 938, and this time end up with 838 because I took 100 away from the 900s that I had. So I'm left with 800s left. Do that again. Subtract another 100 because it says continue subtracting 100 until you have 9 numbers in the sequence. Underline my hundreds place. Take away another 100. I would get 738. Draw another arrow. Take away another 100. 638 when I subtract 100 from 700s. Remember, our tens and ones, if you notice the pattern, are staying the same because we are not subtracting tens or ones from our numbers. Subtract another 100. Look at the hundreds place. It'll go down by 100, so 538 is our new number. Subtract by 100 yet again. Look at the hundreds place, underline it to help you. We have a 5 there. If I take 100 away from 500s, I would have 400s left. 438, because the 10s and 1s are not changing. Look at the hundreds place yet again. Taking away another 100. Take away 100 from 438, we would have 338. We're going to subtract yet another 100, because we're not done with the sequence. If I take 100 away from 338, I would end up at 238. And if I take my last 100 away from my 238, I would be left with 138. That's the last number in my sequence. So remember, we're underline the hundreds place to help you think of what number is changing in our sequence. And remember, you're skip counting backwards by 100 each time. So you're just changing that hundreds place. It's decreasing every time. All right, if you have questions about this or you're a little unsure still, that's totally fine. Make sure to pop into office hours with your teachers. They're there to support you. And good luck on today's assignment. You will just have to do this 2 more times once you do the first one. Make sure to use all new start numbers that you pulled from your cards and have a lot of fun. I will see you tomorrow for another math lesson.